Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, good evening and welcome to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation's Unite for Heroism. At this time, it's my pleasure to bring to the stage the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation Executive Director. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Tom Kovac.
Good evening. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation, it is my pleasure to welcome you tonight. I'm Tom Kovac, and I have the privilege to serve as the Executive Director of the LVMPD Foundation. It's a great honor to welcome you in this room, those of you in the ballroom across the way, and those of you who are watching from your living rooms, kitchens, and offices tonight. I'm starting tonight's program with the two most important words that I can possibly say to you. Thank you. I need to remind no one how difficult and trying this year has been. It is often said that there are no sure bets, but I'm certain that none of us want to repeat 2020. But despite all of the challenges of this year, you have still prioritized the importance of the LVMPD Foundation and the police department we serve. So, first and foremost, thank you for joining us tonight and for your support. The challenges of this year presented themselves in organizing this event. As I said, we have guests in this ballroom, across the hall in another ballroom, and many more joining us via live stream. So I ask that you forgive anything that might not appear to go as smoothly as you would expect. I mean, look at me. I'm at the back of the stage. But I have to be 25 feet away from the front row of tables. But let's not let that detract from why we are together this evening, to celebrate our police department and the incredible partnership that we have with the community. Many of you regularly attend our annual Sheriff Salutes the Best of the Badge Gala. Gathering and social distancing restrictions prohibit us from holding that event in a way that would ensure we could properly honor the brave men and women who were to receive their medals that night. So we had to cancel Best of the Badge this year. We look forward to celebrating those officers next year when Best of the Badge returns. Yet the needs of the police department and the essential community engagement programs that the foundation supports still existed. So we quickly planned a replacement event, which brings us together this evening. And so I'd like to offer a big thanks to the tremendous staff of the LVMPD Foundation who put this together on such short notice. I hope you'll join me in recognizing them. Just as there is still a need to raise funds for Metro, there is still a need to recognize heroes. So tonight, we unite for heroism. Because of our sponsors, table and ticket buyers, and auction item donors, we have already raised over $500,000 this evening. And with your help, we will add to that total throughout the evening. The majority of the money raised so far has come from our sponsors, and I ask that you join me in watching the following recognition of their support.
Infinite power. God knows I tried to resist.
I say a special thank you to our 5-star sponsor and host property, Wynn Resorts. Planning for events like this is always a lot of work, but this year was particularly challenging, as you might expect. Yet the staff at the Wynn have been outstanding, laser-focused on everyone's health and safety, and committed to delivering a level of service and an experience that are top-notch. Only by working together and supporting each other are we going to make it through this pandemic, the challenges to our economy, and the social tension that we all are experiencing. That was the reason, just as the shutdown was starting in March, that the LVMPD Foundation quickly formed a partnership with Switch and the Vegas Chamber to launch Switch to Kindness that provided community members the opportunity to purchase or donate gift cards to local businesses that we distributed to police officers, other first responders, and medical professionals to support the economy and to show our appreciation for our heroes. That same desire to support each other was also a motivating reason in moving forward with this event, to support the resort community and recognize the important relationship that they have with Metro and the foundation. It is in that spirit of cooperation and working together that I thank our community leaders and partners who continue to work with Metro and the foundation to ensure the safety and well-being of our officers and the safety and well-being of the communities that they serve, especially communities of color, and in particular, the Black community. We are honored to have some of those leaders joining us this evening, and you will hear from a few of them later in the program. My most important thank you goes to our police department, to every officer and staff member of LVMPD. Wherever you are tonight, I say thank you. We pay tribute this evening to our officers and staff who continue to put the lives of others ahead of their own to make a difference in our safety each and every day and night. They are the reason that the foundation exists. With us tonight are several very special people who represent the greatest sacrifice of a law enforcement family. Please join me in saluting the family, Officer Eric Lloyd, whom we recently lost. His wife, Mindy, his daughters, Stephanie and Cassie, his father, Mark, his mom, Carol, and his stepdad, Chris. Thank you for being here tonight. We salute you. We are joined tonight by several public officials and candidates. District Court candidate Monica Trillo, District Court Judge Bill Kephart, District Court Judge Susan Johnson, District Court Judge Eric Johnson, District Court Judge Richard Scotty, Las Vegas Councilwoman Michelle Fiore. Thank you all for joining us. It is now my honor to welcome Captain Sasha Larkin, who is such a familiar face around the Valley that she really needs no introduction. She now leads the department's Office of Internal Oversight, which provides a continual review process for all issues surrounding the use of deadly force by police officers. Her career at Metro is focused on efforts to build even stronger relationships with the community. She will serve as the narrator for the first segment of our program. Sasha, welcome, and thank you for your leadership and service.
Thank you, Tom. I'm so honored and so proud to see so many people show up here tonight to unite for heroism. I want to emphasize that for my many years, what feels like just a flash of working in law enforcement, I know how important a community gathering like this is. There's nothing more powerful than bringing community, bringing people together. Tonight, we are united for heroism. Gathered around you and joining us virtually are fellow community members who believe that heroes absolutely do live among us. As the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department works to strengthen our relationships with the community that we serve, this wonderful LVMPD Foundation works to support the effort in gathering community investment in this endeavor. Thank you for joining us tonight. And just to echo what Tom said, if you see a police officer, retired or active, they never get tired of hearing thank you. They never get tired of hearing the positive comments that you support them, you love them, and most importantly, you believe in the work that they do. So thank you for joining us and sharing our vision for unity in our community. The film that you're about to watch is a compilation of heroic moments. What you'll be watching is real in real time. I have some questions for you to consider tonight, and before I show you the first video, I just want you to ask yourself, what is a hero? When you're in pain?
Charlie 4 in pursuit of the suspect vehicle. Gonna be southbound Mojave. Shots fired! Shots fired!
Copy. Southbound Mojave from where?
Okay, I'm at the bull Bonanza and Mojave. I got him.
Copy. Bonanza and Mojave. Shot.
With Charlie 4.
9 Charlie 2. Copy. Is there any units that are injured?
We need medical to that east side entrance up for the second subject that was up on the left. Severe injury to his head, possibly a 415 and A wound as well.
Copy. They're en route.
This job, to me, it's not a job. It's not a career. This is really a calling. It's what I was meant to do. In my career with Metro, I can tell you for sure I've saved 3 lives, or I've helped save 3 lives. There was a man who called us and he wanted to end his life, and he took a zip tie, tied it around his neck as tight as he could, and then he decided it was a really bad idea. So he got on the phone, called us, and there was something, he could barely talk. There was something that he said or something that I heard, and I knew what he had done. And so as we're getting the call set up for an officer to get out there, I stayed on the phone with him, and I told him, I'm not going to let you go. That one we safe.
(911) emergency, call it 14929.
Do you need police, fire, or an ambulance?
Police as soon as possible, please.
Last August, I had an open line, and I couldn't tell what was going on. So officers start going to the house. I kept saying, this is Metro Police. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? After about 2 minutes, somebody picked up the phone. I could tell they were just listening to hear if somebody was there. They put the phone down again. I never had voice contact with them. And then I heard what sounded like a ladder fall to the floor. And officers got there, and they found him beside the shotgun. Him we didn't save. This is the toughest, most rewarding job, career, or calling that anybody could have.
It's a part of this job is preparing yourself to possibly listen to somebody's last breath on the phone. I think that's probably the toughest thing. And being able to remove yourself from that enough that you can get through your day and eventually move forward with life.
These people are not calling on their best day. They're calling because something terrible has happened to them. They're angry, they're upset, they're yelling at our call takers. They're calling them names, and it's our call takers' job to remain calm, set that aside, not take it personally, and get them the help they need. It's very important to be that calm voice on the other side of the phone, that calm voice on the other side of the radio that reassures that help is on the way.
With security advising, she just hit several people on the strip and wants to turn herself in.
New this midday hour, first listening to the dispatch communications following that devastating and deadly crash.
When you're in pain and you're afraid or you're at risk, the men and women of the Communications Bureau are the guiding light. They are the ones there in the moments when you need someone on the other end to help you through a situation. The Metro Communications Bureau stays behind the scenes, yet dispatchers are always a calming presence during an emergency. They take thousands of calls, and they're often the unseen link between life and death for many of those calling. In your most vulnerable moments, when clarity is critical, state-of-the-art training and technology can save lives. Contributions to the LVMPD Foundation from events like tonight enable the foundation to continue to support the investment in the Communications Bureau. And I will tell you that any police officer that has critical events or has been involved in any sort of officer-involved shooting or incident, they know the dispatcher at some point that was on the other side of that call. You have an unbroken, unseen, almost indescribable friendship and connection because you survived that event together. Can only humans be heroes?
The look that my dog would give me if he was hurt, and let's just say right on the brink of death. It's stirring. Like I said, it's hard to talk about it as if it's an eventuality, because it might be. Every call we go to, I know that my dog could be hurt. I have to be in a situation where I have to keep all the human partners safe at the same time. And I also have to tend to him because he's looking to me to fix that problem. And so to save him, because he would save me. We really do become one. It becomes a partnership. And he can't talk to me. Some of those things I have to understand, his needs. And then I also have to kind of interpret his actions like, okay, how's he feeling? Hey, he's spent. I'll put him in the truck for a little bit, and then we'll get him back out and keep working. And I was thinking about Officer Corbett's experience, because he was the handler at the time when Hunter got stabbed. And it's like a combination between a partner and a child, because we take care of them, and you see it in their eyes when they look at us like, hey, fix this problem for me. Or, like, what's wrong with me? They don't lash out at you. They look to you to solve the problem. Hunter, on that call when he was getting stabbed, he never let go of the suspect. The ladder that the suspect had just climbed down off of fell on top of Hunter's back, and that dog just stayed right on it. So now we move away from thinking that this dog is like my child, where I'm going to take care of him, and he's looking to me to solve the problem. In that moment, he's a full-fledged officer fighting a bad guy and doing what he has been trained to do. It was just as if an officer had been shot and was put in the hospital. There was that many people concerned about Hunter, concerned for Officer Corbett and his feelings, being there to support him. And it was amazing. Hands down, I've never experienced anything like that. What people don't see is the 24/7 care and the 24/7 partnership and relationship that we have with our partners. A lot of people ask me, well, what does he do on your days off? What do you do at night? I said, he comes home with me. They're surprised to learn that. They thought that maybe we put him in a locker or something and get him out the next morning. But we get a lot of requests for public demonstrations at schools for the kids to see these dogs up close. Kids love dogs. Everybody loves dogs, so, and the kids love to see the police officers. So when we do that, there's a lot of extra time that we spend on our time off accommodating those requests. And it may be a big deal, but it means a lot to those kids. The officers in our section will go out, bring their dogs, bring their truck, and explain what we do and show off some little tricks or is something that the kids can actually touch and hold and understand. And then the kids want to tell us all about their dogs. And a lot of times we do that off duty. They look at us and they see us. And if we can offer them a smile today, tomorrow they may be more willing to share a problem with us, or to, if I have to go in and rescue one of their family members from a crisis or something, they'll trust the next police officer that shows up. A dog's retirement is the worst day of his life. If you get in your canine truck without him and go somewhere, he doesn't understand why. He doesn't understand that it's time to retire. I'm enjoying the good life. He feels like you're leaving him behind, and so we try and work that dog as long as we can to avoid that. We'll bring him into the family. We'll bring him into the fold. His role at the house will change. For right now, the dog lives in the backyard in a kennel. He's safe from other people, and other people are safe from him. He always looks at the house like, hey, can I come in? What are you guys doing in there? And so one day when he retires, I hope we can bring him into the house and he can lay around and be a house dog. And that's one of the reasons I hope I get to stay in this unit is until my dog's retirement. We've developed that friendship and that bond and that partnership. I can't imagine losing it and allowing him to pass to somebody else. He's mine. I feel that strong bond with him. I don't want that to go away.
One of our canine heroes, Kimura, was stabbed while on life-saving pursuit. The good news? Kimura is now fully recovered and back in action. The LVMPD Foundation raises funds for the care and medical needs of both working and retired canine officer dogs. Our police officers and their canine companions are paired for the entirety of the dogs' lives. And because of the loyal service they provide, we have an obligation to take care of them. They become an important part of our officers' families, as you saw in the video, living with their human counterparts, participating in community events, and visiting schools with them, living their best retired lives. So as we move forward, we look at heroism, and we ask, is heroism obstructed by glass ceilings? Let's see.
He stands up and he turns towards me, and immediately I notice his white shirt is now red.
Oh, he's got a knife, ma'am. He stabbed her. He's going to the car. Who did he stab? He's going under the car. He's going up the road. He's not bleeding, but he's going under the car.
I was all alone.
Get off the car!
I believe from the time that I actually exited my vehicle to the time that I pulled the trigger was anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds.
Drop the knife! Drop the knife!
It's a very long time, especially for an officer to be out there without anybody.
Drop the knife now!
And it was quite eerie the way he was walking towards me. It was just a slow pace with the knife held to his side, and he just stared straight through me. I told myself at some point, you're going to have to pull the trigger. Like, you're going to have to shoot this guy if he doesn't stop.
I'm telling you, drop the knife now!
It's like your brain slows everything down. So he began to crouch down slowly and take a runner's stance. And as he took this runner stance, he lifted the knife up towards his head, and he just started charging at me. And at that point, I fired.
Drop the knife! 784 shots fired.
believe they said it was about 2 minutes before another unit arrived after my shooting, after I pulled the trigger.
Suspect's down. He still has a knife in his hand.
It's eerie just standing there waiting, you know, hoping somebody gets to you soon enough. You know they're coming.
We gotta get him in custody. Check on the victim.
You think about it. You think about it a lot. You think about his family, his kids. Sometimes, you know, you think about what they think of you. I walked over to her and there was 2 officers rendering aid to her. And I just looked at her and I don't remember even what I said to her. Like, if you're okay now, you're safe. I don't remember what I said.
We have medical coming for you, okay?
You know, as far as I know, she made a full recovery. He had stabbed her multiple times. When I was arriving, from my understanding, he was cutting her neck. Like, he was just slicing around her neck area. And if I didn't get there, he probably would have killed her.
Something that might be very near and dear to my heart are women of Metro. They commit to improving community relationships with LVMPD officers. The women of Metro will do what it takes for our communities, their children, and their families. They stay involved in many community activities all throughout the year, helping the community see all the different sides the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department has. These warrior women will continue to stand with, protect, and improve the lives of families and children all over our valley. Donations to the LVMPD Foundation enable greater investment in community engagement programs like holiday events. Every year for the last 10 years, the Women of Metro has provided all of the toys for the children at Child Haven. It's one of the largest toy drives that we get to do every year. And I will tell you, having been there for the last decade, there's nothing like the smile on children's face that usually don't get to celebrate the holidays, and seeing them go in and pick out presents that people like you, the community, have so generously donated. Holiday events like this will lift up communities that we serve for many months and years to come. Now ask yourself, are heroes team players?
715, officers have not shot. He's fired from inside of the house. We got a blood trail leading into the backyard, into the house from right where we're at.
He had shot the mother, and he had already exchanged gunfire with patrol officers and was shooting at us the entire time, too. I remember the SWAT commander saying, "Hey, everybody, take a deep breath." We were told we were going to take rounds on this.
Okay, all units, stay focused, take a deep breath.
I think for some reason, all the emotions and adrenaline just kind of stopped at that moment.
Stand by, breach, breach.
My goal was to save this little girl's life, the hostage's life. I see him, he raises up what I didn't know at the time was 2 handguns and points them at me, and then we both engaged each other at the same time. But the second I saw him fall back, I went to reach for her. Before I even realized, I looked back down and she'd been taken out of there by one of the other guys.
So this is my first hostage rescue. I picked her up. I rolled out of the room.
You okay, sweetie? Yeah. It's okay, sweetie. I got you.
You know, you go from having a pretty crazy gunfight to being able to calm a child. You know, it shows you the how we have to turn it on and turn it off.
Okay. Okay. You heard it all? Yeah. Where you hurt?
All these guys have family. They all have kids. They all have wives to go home to, and no one thought about their own peril. Everyone was ready to go take bullets for that little girl, and it's special.
It's comforting to know that something ever happens to anybody's family, anybody's kids, no matter where they're at, that there's men and women out there that are willing to take action, to put their own life aside to save another one.
It's totally natural if your heart is swelling and your eyes are welling up. Watching heroism like that brings emotion to the surface. The Las Vegas Metropolitan SWAT Team, arguably one of the best trained, most elite SWAT teams in the country, lead the charge in working together to defuse dangerous situations every day. Working with the crisis negotiation team, they help us to secure the voluntary surrender of individuals and to conduct high-risk search warrant service in support of the police department's initiatives. The team's overall mission is to respond and ultimately peacefully resolve critical incidents and high-risk situations with no loss of life. Even if the mission is not immediately accomplished, the teams are equipped with the ability to gather crucial intelligence and buy them valuable time, which will allow for better decision-making and overall tactical planning. Over the years, the LVMPD Foundation has invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in technology and training for the police department. Now, please ask yourself, how powerful are we when we stand together? What heroes can we count on in moments of darkness?
Get down, get fucking down. Get out of here. Leave. Go this way. Out. Everybody out. Get out. Everybody go out. Out. Come on, take her out. Medical can't come in here. Carry him out. Carry him out. Carry him out.
People started coming up to me telling me that, that there's people shot. At one point, a guy came up to me and told me that a woman had been shot in the head. And for some reason, hearing that specifically stopped me in my tracks. And I said, take me to her. And I grabbed his hand because I didn't want to lose him in the big crowd. I really wanted to find the threat or threats. So to be down there and not be able to actually engage with the shooter was something that I had a hard time with.
Where is this guy?
I kind of replayed it in my mind. Was there anything more that I could have done? Was it the best tactics? What else should I have done?
There was a crowd and people were kind of scattering and screaming. I walk up and I see the first female victim, and she's got a wound to her head. Her boyfriend's crying out for us to help her. I'm sorry. I've never been in combat. That screaming, the shooting is something I won't forget. This is, what I wanted to do. Wanted to help people, and when the time came, it was instinct to just stay and help.
Everybody get down, get down, get down, get down.
It was a really bittersweet moment. Not only am I proud of my fellow officers, but I'm proud of the citizens that were there.
Go, I can come and help. Thank you, thank you. Go.
To be surrounded by all these people that risk their lives with nothing to gain in return, not looking for any kind of recognition, nothing. They just wanted to do what was right. To see so many people doing that was just amazing to me.
Everybody out, 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 out.
I wanted to do as much as I could and save as many people as I could.
Vegas strong. I'm proud.
That video almost needs, yes, please. It almost needs no explanation. You've all seen it on the news. You've probably heard the stories. Some of you were probably even there. There are heroes in this room that were not just there, but saved lives. And it's in moments of profound loss and darkness that those heroes step into the light. Like in every aspect of society, racial bias can exist in policing throughout America. It is the job of our police department to check our biases at the door, just as every police department around the country should, and serve every human who needs our help to the best of our ability. In times of, it's okay. In times of racial and civil unrest, can our officers make a difference?
It's one of those moments where you realize if I worked 21 years just to be there for this one moment, then my entire career was worth it.
I noticed a female
laying on the ground, motionless, and I just wanted to help her as fast as I possibly could.
I recall seeing several gunshot wounds on her body.
Got GSW to the chest, one to the hip, one to the leg.
It is a very sobering reality where all of a sudden you realize who's going to save her. And well, we were the people that were called to do that. Right at that time is where was pulling up in her SUV.
I immediately got out of my vehicle. I grabbed the trauma kit that's located in the passenger side of my vehicle. I then ran up to who was laying over a female who was not moving. She was not speaking. She seemed in initial stage of shock.
Just apply pressure right here.
She had a chest wound, and actually I came over and took over that. She had a gaping hole in her calf that she was bleeding from. So I immediately grabbed my tourniquet and I applied my tourniquet all the way up on her leg to try to stop that bleeding. She was fading out, and I think she was ready to go.
Oh, no, stay with us. It's okay, stay with us. I realized that I needed to keep her alert in order to keep her alive. There was a point where she looked up at me straight in the eyes and she asked me if she was going to die. Please don't let me die. I'm not. Look at me. Oh, you're not going to, okay? You're not going to.
As you just saw, that young woman was extremely close to death and would not have survived had our officers not been completely determined to save her. Part of being a Las Vegas Metropolitan Police officer means not judging color or race, but working to save anyone's life at any time. Investments by the LVMPD Foundation, made possible through the generosity of our donors, help to ensure that our officers have the best and proper training to work with many diverse populations. And just like you saw the tourniquet that was applied, every uniformed patrol officer carries those tourniquets, and the stories of the lives that they saved are countless. Heroism is happening all around you. Heroism is as diverse at the LVMPD as it is in any population at large. How will you support our heroes? Who are we in 2020? That's the question you will ask yourself tonight. I'm proud to ask Nina and our other panelists to please come up to the stage. Now, I'd like to ask you to go back to what you originally thought when I asked you, what does a hero look like? Has that image changed at all? Did you have an image one way in your mind, and then after watching those videos, think something else? LVMPD officers continue to perform life-saving acts every single day in our valley. And without media coverage, most people don't give that a second thought. But we should, because without these officers and community programs, our valley would not be a safe home for so many of us. We are committed to protecting you, your families, and your neighbors. And one way to achieve that goal is through this continuing, open, honest dialogue. Your donations to the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation will allow us to continue funding programs that better serve all community audiences and carry on the conversations that will begin here tonight. I would like to introduce our moderator for our celebrity conversation this evening. She again needs no introduction. She's another familiar face that you've seen in our valley for a very long time. And I want to tell you that I got to know Nina on a very personal level because she went through part of the police academy right after mine. Yeah, she did in 1999. I don't want to date us. We were both 18 when we went through the academy. But she went through a few weeks of the Metro Police Academy, and it was so refreshing for us to see her commitment, not just to the police department, but to her community. And she never, ever faltered in her true and honest devotion to making sure this community is safe. She serves as a member of the LVMPD Foundation Board and is Vice President of Marketing for a foundation I'm sure that you've all heard of, one that makes change and miracles happen in so many children's lives, the Make-A-Wish of Southern Nevada. So please put your hands together in helping me welcome Nina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to attempt to walk upstairs while wearing a mask and talking while walking across the stage. So this is not my mic. Thank you so much. Yes, that was 20 years ago that I went through the police academy for 3 long weeks, the longest 3 weeks of my life. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. What an honor it is to lead this important discussion. We have to keep our masks on per state regulations and Wynn regulations tonight. So we will do our best to smile through our eyes and allow you to see our emotion that way. What we're doing here tonight is bringing different-minded people together to discuss vital issues. And by doing that, we work together to build safer communities. Our panelists tonight who are up here on the stage with me are integral to our community, especially at a time of so much unrest in this country. Tonight's group represents many different areas: entertainment, community leadership, law enforcement. And I'd like to introduce you to these remarkable women who are on stage with me tonight. The president of NAACP Las Vegas, Roxanne McCoy. The president of the Nevada Black Police Association and retired LVMPD officer, Regina Coward. An American singer, songwriter, and actress, Maxine Jones. Thank you all for being here. Before we start the discussion, I really want the audience to know a little bit more about you. So I'd like to share some of your biographical information with them. Roxanne, we'll start with you. For more than 6 years, Roxanne has served as the president of the Las Vegas chapter of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Roxanne is also the CEO and president of Aspire Consulting Group, specializing in business development, community outreach, and image consulting. Roxanne was born in Phoenix, Arizona, and she's really a local, though. She's been here in Las Vegas for more than 30 years. Doesn't it count when you're here for 5 years, you're considered a local? She sits on an impressive list of community, nonprofit, and business boards and has received numerous prestigious awards. Roxanne, thank you for the work you do to make our community amazing. Regina Coward Holman is a 27-year veteran police officer with the Las Vegas Metro Police Department. She retired in 2018, but she has definitely stayed busy, maintained her connection to the department and the community. Regina is the president of the Nevada Black Police Association and the Region 1 president of the National Black Police Association. Her last assignment was Bolden Area Command, and she grew up 1 block away from that command and knew exactly what it would take to begin an honest dialogue with the community, what resources were lacking and how to make it safer. We're going to talk a lot about that tonight. Regina spent 6 years planning community events and outreaches to bridge the gap between police and the community. She continues to be a pillar in this community as well as a strong voice for the officers and civilians she proudly serves. Regina, thank you for your years of service. Maxine Jones, who I've had the pleasure of getting to know a little bit more tonight, is an American singer, songwriter, and actress who rose to fame in the early 90s as a member of the R&B quartet En Vogue. So many college stories around En Vogue songs that I won't share with you tonight. One of the world's best-selling girl groups of all time. Throughout a career spanning 25 years, Jones has sold over 31 million records with En Vogue, and her work has earned her several awards and nominations. Since leaving En Vogue, Maxine has worked in support of a number of youth education programs and equality causes. Maxine, thank you for lending your voice tonight.
My pleasure.
We're kind of coming off of some very powerful videos, and I want to start by asking you about your reaction to those. I know that just watching that, the questions that Sasha asked around heroism, talk about your feelings around those videos. Roxanne, we'll start with you.
For me, I think the videos were very moving. But before I begin, I'd like to
Thank you, Nina. I'd like to thank the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Foundation for the opportunity to be here tonight to celebrate our heroes. And I'd like to congratulate all those that will be honored tonight, both retired and those that are active, as well as our first responders. So thank you and congratulations. The video for me shows a lot of what Metro stands for. Our Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is serving our community, caring about the sanctity of life. And I appreciate the fact to be able to have them serve in our community and me be a part of the Las Vegas community.
Regina, this is not new to you, the heroism that you see on the screen, but it still must stir some emotion.
It definitely does. And it takes me back to my patrol days and arriving on those types of calls and being able to save life, because saving life means that a family continues to grow. There's still people there who continue to share life. And at the end of the day, we feel like we've done our job. I mean, when people are running away from bullets and crime, we're running to crime. So it definitely brings back like a miss. I know I've been retired for 2 years, but I just put myself right back in that video. And just those are good times for me. And those are things that really made me feel warm and fuzzy all over again. I miss that. I'm glad for retirement, of course, but I do miss that thrill of helping and things like that.
It takes a special kind, because I can't imagine feeling that way about running towards the action. And I'm thankful that there are people like you and our officers who serve who are willing to do that. Maxine, you and I shared a few moments at our table while watching those. Tell me what your reaction is.
Well, I feel exactly like you said. I feel that it's really great to be among officers who care about the community and who have the commitment that the LVMPD has for the community, basically. So
it's moving to watch.
It is very moving to watch, and I'm really proud to be. I'm new to this city. I've only been here for about 6 months, so it's just really good to see the awareness and the commitment towards effective policing in communities.
We are happy that you're here. Welcome to Las Vegas.
My pleasure.
Didn't take her long to get used to it either. It took me about 5 years. She said 6 months she loves it already.
I love
think
it.
That's great. Regina, let's talk about some gritty issues, shall we? Let's talk about, well, first of all, tell us what attracted you as a Black woman to a career in policing, and what are some of your proudest moments as a police officer?
What attracted me was I grew up in Gerson Park, and that was a neighborhood that was the people there did not particularly care for the police. Actually, they hated the police. And we did not have really good interactions with the police. But there were a group of cops, and they were not called COP officers. They were called just good cops. And Bobby Gronow, Bobby G, he had a team. And what they did after the people in that community that I grew up, we burned down the substation, not me, of course, but they burned down the substation. In policing, they never came in with one car. It was always 4 or 5 cars all the time. So they decided they was gonna make a change. And what they did is on a Saturday, they brought a basketball, a dodgeball, a baseball, and popsicles. And what they did is they took us on to a community game of dodgeball. So everyone left their frustrations outside that circle. And what we did, we had an amazing time of dodgeball. And those officers, they didn't just come once, they came every weekend.
Wow.
And every weekend there was a different activity, whether we were doing a cleanup in the community or we were doing a coloring contest. And I don't know how he did this, but Bobby Gronow got a bus. And he took all of us to a UNLV basketball game because he was like a basketball guy.
Bobby G.
Bobby G. And I'm thinking like, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
This is cool. And I never got a chance to run with the gangs and do this. I had a Christian mom and she kept us very close. But as time got going, I started seeing commercials on TV about being a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I thought about? I thought about those people, those officers who took us on And they changed the whole tide. They didn't run and gun and try to arrest their way through because they figured out that didn't work. So they took a lighter approach and they made a lot of good community relations. And once I decided to test, there was another lady who says, hey, we make good money. You should come and do this job. And once I came on and took this job on, all those things that I saw those officers that were doing, there was an opportunity for me to do those things. So my proudest moments was being able to pay it forward. Because those officers who instilled their time and efforts in me, I got a chance to pay forward to the people of the community that I grew up in.
It's so neat that you took those childhood experiences and really translated them into your adult experiences and career in law enforcement. I love that. Roxanne, how would you describe the relationship between law enforcement in Las Vegas and communities of color, especially the Black community? And how does that compare to other cities around the country?
I would say that the relationship between law enforcement here in Las Vegas and communities of color is an evolving relationship. It's a relationship that has to be built on trust, and I think that we are on our way to making those things happen. I can definitely say for myself, as well as the Las Vegas NAACP, is that we have a good relationship with our police department here, in which we are very proud of. It gives us an opportunity to be able to go to our sheriff under the leadership of Sheriff Lombardo, to be able to say, you know, these are the concerns of our community. And he's listening, and he's allowing us to have a seat at the table, to have the tough discussions, to be able to talk about issues, whether they're comfortable or uncomfortable, and figure out how we can mutually respect each other and resolve those issues. And so when I think about that, I think about the fact that, yes, there are tensions there, but we've come a long way. And we still have a long way to go, but we're making progress. And we continue to sit at the table, we continue to have the tough discussions, and we continue to make the change. When I think about our police department, LVMPD, and I compare it to police departments across this country, I'd say that we are light years ahead. One thing that this pandemic gave me an opportunity to see that I did not know for myself is the opportunity to talk with other NAACP branches across the country. And in having those conversations, they're just beginning to start building relationships with their police department. And I can say that we've already had that relationship built, and we continue to build upon it, and we continue to make positive change that just doesn't affect the Black community, but it affects positively the Las Vegas community as a whole. And so that's what change is all about. That's what being progressive is all about. And I appreciate the fact that we all can sit at the table, respect each other's differences, and continue to push toward progress.
Love hearing that. Maxine, you come from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Sure do.
You have seen something different there than is here. How do the two cities compare, and what is the relationship like there, and what have you seen here?
Well, the thing that I feel like I come from a progressive state, and the San Francisco Police Department and Bay Area police departments are progressive. And I'm really glad that I moved here to Las Vegas to find the same experiences. Basically, you know, the department coming together with the community to find solutions. And I don't think those solutions, you know, there isn't a one size fit all for this solution. I think like you said, the solutions are ongoing, and the work is constant. And the fact that the department is willing and their intent is good, I think that's the start for making relationships better. I mean, our hearts, the community, the heart of the community has to be there, and the agency's heart has to be in it. And I think with those two things together, we can find solutions for any problem. So
yeah, we're better together.
We are better together.
Regina, you heard Roxanne talk a little bit about that we're making progress, but we still have strides to make. What are some of the barriers to good police-community relationships, and what can we do to improve them?
I think the unknown is one of the barriers.
Huh.
We don't know a lot of things. We assume, we
That's dangerous,
suspect,
isn't it?
but a lot of times once we know, then we can address things. There are barriers of lack of resources in community. There's barriers of being raised differently. There's barriers of color. There's barriers of social economic income. Those are all things that build gaps and they make things harder to happen. This department has been on the front line of trying to bridge those gaps. And I've worked with some amazing men and women, and we all saw one thing: let's make our community better. We're stronger when we're together, but we need to take every single day and do our part and make sure we never let a day go by without doing a good deed. You're in your car all day and you're doing good deeds, get out of that car. What if they would never got out of their car and talked to me? What if they would have never came and gave me a basketball? What if they would have never came and say, you're a good kid? Maybe I wouldn't be here. But because somebody invested in me, never take for granted who you may talk to, who you could change, because words are powerful. And those people in these communities that we serve, they want to hear a word from us. And just getting out, speaking and talking and showing people that you care, that's breaking down barriers. And that's breaking down stereotyping, because we have a lot of good cops. We have a lot of good people too, but we have a whole lot of good cops out there. And once they feel that we can do things, and once the community knows that we're serious and want to do things, we can only go stronger.
There are extremists on both sides of these issues. Roxanne, how do we neutralize those folks so that we get to productive discourse in this country, in this community?
We neutralize them by, like Regina said, working together as a team. We are stronger together than we are separated. When we see bad things taking place or bad people coming within our community to cause discord or division, I think the onus is on all of us as citizens of this city to stand together and speak out against those things that we know that are not right, and to make sure that we neutralize those people that don't mean good and progression for our city.
Maxine, celebrities play an important role in today's society. You have a platform. How do you use that platform to foster better relationships?
Well, my social media platform is very important to me because it's my voice. Sometimes when I feel helpless, my platform is a way to express that helplessness and also to bring about change if it's possible at all. I do highlight the good work that police do on my platform, as well as social issues. And I'm going to continue to do so. I think it's important to show the good work that police do, as well as all the bad stuff we see. I think it's important to show the bad stuff too, because we got to identify the bad actors and root them out. At the same time, we do need to also acknowledge the good work, what real policing is like, and what it looks like, and what we should all expect. So I'm definitely going to be using my platform to do all of that, for sure.
Are we doing enough here locally, Roxanne, to tell our stories of the good work that we're doing?
The short answer is no, we're not doing enough to tell our story on both sides, because between the community and law enforcement, there are some amazing things that have taken place that we know they've taken place, but we got to do a better job of making sure that our community knows the work that we are doing. For instance, I have the opportunity, and I am thankful for the opportunity, to sit at the table to talk with our sheriff, our undersheriff, and the other sheriffs that work within the police department to bring about change. And some of the things that we recently worked on was our current use of force policy. I think that we circumvented a lot of the things that could have taken place with the unrest that took place recently with the protests. We could have made it better than what we did, even though I think that we did a good job of making sure that our community knew that the things that they were asking for, we had already talked about and we had already accomplished them. But we have to do a better job of making sure that our community has access to that information so that they are aware of the work that has been done already. And so I think that we could do a better job at it, but sometimes it's a little difficult when you're busy doing the work to stop and take the time to talk about the work that you're doing.
Communications, it's a struggle for everybody, for every organization, really. And with the way that information moves at the speed of sound now, we're getting information at our fingertips, right? It used to be that you would gather around the TV and watch the 5 o'clock news to get your information for the day, and now it's on your phone within 5 minutes. That's also stirring up the conversation and providing, Regina, really unique challenges for police officers.
I think that social media is definitely the two-edged sword. It really is, because cops do a lot of amazing work. And I can speak firsthand. I have had an amazing amount of people who have come in and we have rocked. We didn't see color. We didn't see anything besides let's take care of our job. It was our job to go and to serve our community. And then we see one little thing will happen and how social media will take one little thing and twist it all up. And most times, and I learned this through trial and error, of jumping before the gun, you better know your facts. Because what you see on the video is not always the way it really happened, and I learned that. In social media, people, they don't take the time to see. They just run off with it. And so I've learned to take a breath, take a seat back, to get all the facts before I make a comment. And then when we have our voices, and a lot of us in here have our voices, when we see things that are right, let's call them right. When we see things that are wrong, let's call them wrong. Because the people are looking to us, because a lot of people have respect for law enforcement, they look to us for guidance. And our voice is powerful, and they want to know.
Maxine, what about parents? How do you talk to your kids about all this? Relationship with police, relationship with communities of color, the divide that sometimes exists?
Well, I know as a Black parent, policing also, when I talk about policing to my kid, I also have to talk about race because of systemic racism that does exist. And I mean, I'm probably having the same conversations that all Black parents have with their kids about how to behave when they come in contact with the police, strategies of how to survive and get out alive. It's a very tough conversation, but it has to happen. And I mean, those are the conversations. They're very direct. They're very open. And we have to be honest and upfront and let our kids know what the dangers are, what could happen if they come in contact with a bad officer, and how to behave around good officers as well. So, I mean, the conversation, it's an ongoing conversation, and it's a tough conversation.
Something we all have to have with our children. For all three of you, now, Roxanne, I'll start with you. What is your message to the audience for what they can do to be part of the movement to support our police officers and their efforts to protect us, especially in these challenging times?
I would like to begin with saying that donate money to the foundation. The LVMPD Foundation creates some amazing programs that allow for our police officers on their time off to be able to go back and give back time, resources, and their energy to the communities in which they serve. And I would say that those programs are priceless because it gives the children as well as the families in those communities an opportunity to not see the officers as coming to arrest or take away a family member, but they get an opportunity to build a relationship with them, to be able to trust them, to be able to see them in a light as a friend that they can trust. And so the foundation provides resources to the officers because the officers have families as well. And they're doing these things after hours on their own time. And it provides the resources for them to be able to build the relationships in which we need to have built and we want to have built within our communities. Because our communities really need to see our officers for who they are, and that is human beings first, as men and women that have families and children just like they are. And so that's one way in which I think that we can make a difference. And also, become part of organizations like the NAACP that are trying to make change for the better. Be there and volunteer some of that time so that you can use that platform in order to educate the community on things that we can do better, as well as understanding more about the communities in which you serve.
Thank you.
So, in final, I would say the change that you want to see begins with you.
Yes.
So you have to be a part of the change that you want to see.
Thank you, Roxanne. Regina.
Well said.
Yes. Ditto, right?
Yes, I'm going to echo that. I'm going to, and this was not rehearsed. We're not just saying give to the foundation, but I'm just going to share a story. While being at Bolden, money was really, really hard to come by. We did 21 events. Busting our chops with zero money because, of course, the budget, there was no money. And we found ourselves begging, going to people trying to get resources. And were we able to do it? Yes, we were. But finally, when we reached out to the foundation, they were like, hey, let us help you. We do have monies to help you guys. It made a big difference because we need to be out in the community. From my message for people in the room, if you want to see something, volunteer. I am retired, but I volunteer every single week with the community. There's not a week that goes by that I don't give back. Not only am I giving back, I drag my grandkids with me.
I'm sure
they're
love
giving
it.
back. And it wasn't, they love it now because if you don't volunteer, then you don't get. It's not about, because it also makes them more grateful. If you have ungrateful kids take them and make them volunteer, because your problems now, they seem to be a whole lot smaller when you're looking at other people who don't have and looking at their problems. So I would like to say, get out, be a part of the community, talk to the community, but also stop and talk to cops. I know a lot of people here, just community people, talk to cops. Hi, how's your day? Is there anything I can do for you? Because there's maybe a cop that just stopped the family and maybe they just need a gallon of milk. A gallon of milk is huge for a family who doesn't have it. So I've learned a whole lot about little things that we think are really small. They're huge to other people who don't have it.
Thank you. Maxine, what is your message to the audience?
Well, I would say communication is very important and transparency is very important. I think officers and the community being transparent. I think, like you said, the officers, us getting to know the officers that are interacting in our community, officers with boots on the ground, talking to families and being a part of the conversation is important. That helps, that builds trust. When I was a kid, there were beat cops who walked the beat and they knew our families and we knew theirs. And I think that's important. There you have it.
Thank you. What a great start to the conversations that we as a community should continue to have, for sure. And proof that, the theme that's running through tonight, this Unite for Heroism theme, that we are so much better when we work together than we are apart. The things that we can accomplish if we work together are astronomical. So I ask you to think about that tonight as you leave. Thank you to this amazing group of panelists. It was a pleasure getting to know all of you guys and to be able to talk to you and hear your stories and your perspectives. I know I learned a few things in conversations pre this event. Thank you, Roxanne. It was a pleasure talking to all of you guys. Thank you for sharing your insight with us, and I hope that you and the audience learned some things tonight and got some inspiration as well. So a big round of applause for our panelists. And I'm now going to turn things back over to Mr. Tom Kovac, and I have to exit the stage so we socially distance properly.
Who are we? Men and women, diverse, ethnic, religious, new, experienced. A reflection of our community in all its colors. We are our history and our progress. We are strong as individuals and as a team. We are even stronger because of our differences. We seek to understand that which we could know better. We embrace change, even when it's not easy. We promise openness. We care. We are more than just a uniform and a title. We are human beings, more alike than different. We are Metro.
Thank you, Nina, Roxanne, Regina, and Maxine. We greatly appreciate the time you took to be with us tonight and for your leadership and efforts in making our community a stronger and safer place for us all. While I was walking up here, I had the opportunity to be stopped by a good friend of the foundation. And I'm very pleased to announce to you that upon hearing what the panel was talking about, the importance of community engagement and the importance of creating stronger unity between law enforcement and the communities they serve, Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield has committed $75,000 to fund the community engagement work that we will do going forward. Thank you, Anthem, and thank you, Olivia Smith, for your leadership in making that possible. I'd also like to recognize the board of directors of the foundation that are in the room, not only because they are such tremendous leaders and have created a foundation that is significantly larger and more impactful than it's ever been before. But as we heard from these panelists, it is so important to tell the stories of the community engagement work that our police departments across the country, not just in Las Vegas, are doing. And too often, that work is overlooked in the media. It's overlooked when people of influence are thinking about budgeting and other issues that relate to running our municipalities. And so I am so proud that this year, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department is funding a national survey to find the true picture of the extensive community engagement work that is taking place across the country. And the funding for that is being provided by our board of directors, and some of those donors are in the room. So I'd ask you to join me in thanking Joe Murphy, Mike Howard, Susan Cushman, Ron Corey, and others on our board who have made this possible. Thank you for your leadership and your commitments. And so now, we are going to take a break for those of you in this room and those of you in the ballroom across the hall and enjoy dinner. But for those of you who are watching, this is the end of our live stream program. And so we greatly appreciate your support tonight by joining us, and we hope that you've enjoyed the program and will continue to contribute to this foundation The silent auction remains open, so please feel free to continue bidding during the rest of the evening. And we look forward to those of you watching at home to someday soon joining us again in person. Thank you. Stay safe and be healthy.